Welcome to Red Kingdom Sports, and we are here with our Thanksgiving games review for NFL Week 12. And let's just jump right into it. First, we had the Bears defeating the Lions 16-14. And to be honest, the Lions cannot catch a break. Now, obviously, it was a lot of bad for them. Like, their coaching was bad. Jared Goff's not good. Their offense is really bad. But, they're a very, very tough team. They play hard every game, every snap. And I just want them to get their first win. But, like, when you have situations in this game where they had 3rd and 30 plus twice, and they just run the ball on both of those, you kind of expect them to lose, and it's just, either Dan Campbell is a bad coach or they don't trust Jared Goff, or it could be a combination of both. But it's absolutely crazy. And on the first one, they honestly could have at least thrown the ball to get into field goal range. And when they didn't, I just thought that was weird. But their offense was bad, but their defense is really tough. But it sucks because they just couldn't make one stop when they needed to. And I was watching this game with my family, and I was like, the Bears are going to keep this ball for the last 7 minutes of the game, kick a field goal with no time left. And that's literally what happened. Now, they had terrible situational football in that, they had to call timeouts on back-to-back plays, causing a 5-yard penalty, which was 3rd and 4, allowed them to just continue running out of the clock, the Bears, and kick the game-winning field goal to win. So that was some just bad play by the Lions, and it doesn't help their case. But they probably are one of the best winless teams ever. That's not really saying much, but you see how tough they play, how hard they play. That they literally when they scored that second touchdown, I genuinely thought they had a chance to win, and when they didn't, I feel so bad. Not necessarily for some of the players, because Jared Goff is bad. Okay, I feel bad for him, but Jared Goff's bad. But I feel bad for Dan Campbell, man. That dude coaches his heart out, and they still can't get a win. And when their defensive assistants and all that crap are making really stupid, decisions, not helping the team, that doesn't help anybody. It makes Dan Campbell look bad when this dude is fighting every week. If you look at the Bears, they shouldn't feel good about this at all. To beat the Lions by 2 in a game where Matt Nagy was reportedly going to be fired afterwards. It's not a good look. You would think he would come out firing and try to make this team look a lot better to show that, hey, I still deserve this job. But that didn't happen. But apparently the reports were fake, and it was just to fire up the team. And if that's the case, that's one really weird way to fire up a team. So I don't know what to believe in that. But if that's actually true, that they made a fake report to fire up the team, that is messed up. But what also is messed up is their kicker missing 5 yards short on a 53-yard field goal. That's just bad. That's really, really, really bad. But he also came up short in another field goal earlier this season. That one was obviously much longer, but man, that was really bad. It was also really funny. But man, the Lions, they were one stop away from possibly winning this game, and they just couldn't do it. It was bad coaching, bad situational football that they had a chance. They had a chance. So they've got to win at some point. And they've lost 6 games by 1 possession. And a lot of those are last second field goals. They have to get their first win at some point this season. I'm rooting for them to get a win. This is just sad at this point. I want them to get their win. Now, when you have Joe Buck trolling the Lions and saying when they have too many men on an extra point, that they're not used to scoring field goals, that's not a good look. That doesn't help anybody. But the Lions will get their first win eventually. I believe it. They've got to do it. And Dan Campbell and Jared Goff will finally be able to win a game. We got to see it. It's just, man, the Lions just can't catch a break. The next game was an absolute ref show. You have the Raiders defeating the Cowboys 36-33. Now, obviously, the elephant in the room we have to discuss it. The referees were god-awful in this game. I'm not even going to try to go through all the penalties that they got wrong. But Anthony Brown was, the most obvious one because he had 4 defensive pass interference calls or something like that. Those were obviously, some of those were just bad. And I think one of them was on when he was covering Deshaun Jackson. I'm just man, the Cowboys and these refs are not having a good day. But all day the referees were bad. They were calling terrible holdings, terrible false starts. They were, calling terrible defensive penalties. The refs wanted to make their presence felt on Thanksgiving. And I have a couple theories. Either this was completely on purpose, and the NFL wanted to make this game really entertaining. It was rigged, or the referees were genuinely thinking they were doing the best job they could. Either way, there is no excuse for how poor the referees were in this game. And as Micah Parsons said, they're playing football, not tag. Let these guys And the worst one was that roughing the passer call from the Cowboys on Derek Carr. I understand it looked bad, but you can't call a penalty for something looking bad. Like, that's the problem with these roughing the passer calls, is I think they're not calling it what the actual rulebook says. They're calling it based off of how bad it looks. And if that's the case, you're going to call a flag on every single play because it's football. Like, just because a play looks bad, that doesn't mean it's a penalty. Like, that's what the referees need to understand. Yeah, the play looked bad. It looked awful. But that wasn't a penalty. It was just a case where it looked bad. Like, you can't call a penalty on that. But besides the referees, I mean, the Cowboys early on didn't play very well. Now I feel like they did get, but let's look at the penalties in this game really quick. There was 28 penalties, 276 yards. I mean, there was almost 1,000 yards of offense and no turnovers, but you look at that 276, almost 300 yards of penalties. That's just bad. And you look at Dak and the Cowboys, like they were, kind of struggling for most of this game. Dak was missing throws. His receivers were dropping passes. Tyron Smith, who just came back, missed a block and almost got Dak killed. Now, I will say, I mean, there was one play in this game where I really thought the Cowboys had it, and the new replay system kind of screwed the Cowboys out of the ball because it looked like a fumble on the Raiders, and it was a great defensive play by the Cowboys to keep that ball in bounds, and you thought get the ball, but that wasn't the case. There was some poor officiating, and the stupid new replay system that the NFL has. You think it's something that's really good, where it's like, okay, we're going to, make these replays faster. Fine, we all like that, but they still somehow managed to screw this up because there is no way that they looked at that fast enough to be like, okay, that is not, that was an incomplete pass. There was no catch. There was no way they looked at that fast enough. And that this, even when they have something that's nice, the NFL is the only people on this planet that somehow take something so nice in this quick replay system and they screw it up. So that is completely on the NFL. Like the fact that, and then because of that, apparently Mike McCarthy couldn't challenge it. I mean, I think he should have at least tried, and if he wasn't allowed to, they could have at least given him his challenge back or something. But good God, the fact that that's unchallengeable, and the fact that they were able to come up with an incomplete pass that quickly is a shame and an embarrassment. There was no way they came up with that fast. But yeah, if we get back to the Cowboys, like I said, Dak missed some throws. They weren't really clicking on offense. Zeke really didn't look like himself, but they do have Tony Pollard, who was an electric magnet. That kickoff return for a touchdown, you kind of thought flipped the momentum. But then you also have to overcome your coach, who obviously didn't throw the challenge of that fumble. He also decided to kick a 59-yard field goal when they probably should have punted. It didn't really lead to anything bad, but at the same time, you're like, well, come on, you should have punted that ball. There was no excuse to kick that. I already got into that terrible roughing the passer call. Tony Pollard's, kickoff return, that was a lot of fun. I mean, but Dak's two amazing drives by Dak where he was dropping dimes to Michael Gallup, the game-tying touchdown, and then the field goal to force overtime. You really thought, the Cowboys were going to, make a statement. Kind of like that fourth quarter by Dak was amazing. You really thought that, hey, he's going to, use his magic and win this game for the Cowboys. Didn't happen. And the Raiders end up winning in overtime, in a really weird overtime that kind of just sums up the entire game, because you had the Cowboys jumped off sides like 3 times. I understand what they were doing. They were trying to, time the kick up. This game alone, that overtime summed up this game. This game was absolutely disgusting and fun. It was fun in the most disgusting way possible, and I may be an a-hole for saying that, but that game was way too much fun for me, for how much the refs thought it would be fun to insert themselves in this game, because I thoroughly enjoyed every second of it. Like I said, this may have just been a ploy by the NFL, be like, we got to make it a Thanksgiving game fun. Throw all the flags. That's not how you make a game fun. Not even close. What makes a game fun is great situational play, explosive plays on offense, major defensive stops, and the game coming down to one play. Look at the Chiefs-Rams game from a few years back. That's the epitome of the greatest game ever. That's how a perfect game is played. The refs had nothing to do with that. But yeah, this game, like I said, in the most disgusting way possible, was a lot of fun. I enjoyed every second of it. Game of the year caliber, probably not, because the referees took over too much of this. But there was a lot of things in this game. I loved it. Like I said, I'm an a-hole for thinking that. But, I mean, the Raiders, they played well. Derek Carr and Deshaun Jackson, Deshaun Jackson had a great stat line, like 3 catches over 100 yards, a touchdown. He looked great. He owns the Cowboys. But this game was a lot of fun, and the Raiders were able to pull out the win, 36-33. And in the final game of this Thanksgiving tripleheader, we had the Bills dominating the Saints 31-6. The Saints' terrible punt basically sums up their game. That was a poor choice of play calling. That was the second time I think they failed on fourth down, and it just shows it was just bad. They need a quarterback, and they really need Alvin Kamara back. But the Bills absolutely dominated this game. You take away two unfortunate turnovers. You know, the first one was completely on Josh Allen, and if you think about it, I guess you can say the second one was on him. But that was just a great play by the Saints defense to get home. You know, interrupt that throw, cause the interception. And that was a red zone interception, so that makes it even worse. But like this score, like you looked at the first half and you're like, oh, it was 10-0. That sometimes the score doesn't just show how good an offense was, because the offense for the Bills all game long was just able to do whatever it wanted to, able to move the ball easily. They look really good. And like I said, you take away those turnovers, I think the Bills looked fantastic in this game. They really, really did. Now, obviously, you have to clean up turnovers to be, you know, not made fun of, basically. But like in the hindsight of a Thanksgiving game that everybody's going to forget about, you know, those turnovers, you take those away. Josh Allen, the Bills offense, they looked really, really good. I thought, you know, they played well. If they continue to play like this, they're going to be back to where they are. I did find it weird that they didn't play Taysom Hill. The Saints didn't, but at the same time, I guess it's because he was injured. But at the same time, it's like the Tua situation where he's too injured to start, but not too injured to not play. And I'm just thinking, you know, you could have played Taysom just a couple of snaps if that was the case, to give a little bit of a spark to the Saints, especially after that massive contract. So, I mean, just the Saints, it was just bad overall for them. But the Bills, you know, take away those turnovers. They looked really good. Josh Allen looked good. Everything for the Bills, defense, offense, everything looked good. And if they continue to play like this, they are going to be a very tough team, especially in an AFC that is completely wide open. And that is my review of Thanksgiving Day football, NFL Week 12. Give me your thoughts down below of what you thought of the football games on this year's Thanksgiving. And yeah, give me your thoughts down below. And thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for listening. And I will see you in the next one.